Jules Minot, a banker, told the police that Madame L'Espagne had opened an account with his bank 8 years earlier. 3 days before her death, she took 4,000 francs in gold out of her account. The money was sent to her house. Pauline Dubourg, a laundress, said that she had worked for the two women for the past 3 years. She reported that the old woman and her daughter got on well with each other. Pauline thought Madame L'Espagne was quite rich, though they had no servants. Pauline had never seen anyone else in the house. Many other neighbors said the same things. No one knew of any visitors to the house. No one knew if the two women had any relatives. The front windows were rarely opened, and the ones in the back were always closed, except for the windows in the back room on the 4th floor. Isidore Mouzet, a policeman, stated that he had been called to the house about 3 o'clock in the morning. As he forced open the door, the screams suddenly stopped. He started to go upstairs when he heard two angry voices. One voice was quite deep. The other was higher and very strange. The deep voice, definitely not that of a woman, was speaking French. He could not understand what the high voice was saying, but thought it was speaking Spanish. Henri Duval, a neighbor, was one of the men who entered the house. He gave the same evidence as Mouzet, except that he thought the high voice was speaking Italian. He was not sure if the high voice belonged to a man or a woman. He knew Madame L'Espagne and her daughter. He was sure that the high voice did not belong to either of them. Mr. Odenheimer, a restaurant owner from Amsterdam, was passing the house when he heard the cries. He also entered the building. He thought the high voice was that of a Frenchman. He could not understand what was being said, but he thought that the high voice sounded scared as well as angry. William Bird, an Englishman, was one of the first to go upstairs. He heard the voices arguing and the sounds of people struggling. He was sure that the high voice was speaking German, though he did not speak the language himself. He believed the high voice might have been a woman's. Alfonso Garcio, an undertaker living in the Rue Morgue, did not go upstairs. He was too nervous. He heard the voices and identified the deep voice as a Frenchman and the high voice as someone speaking English, although he himself did not speak English. Dr. Paul Dumas examined the bodies early in the morning. They were now both lying in the room where the daughter had been found. Camille's body was terribly bruised and cut just below the chin. Her face was a horrible color. Her eyes were bulging, and she had almost bitten off her tongue. The doctor believed that Camille was strangled by an unknown person. The body of the mother was horribly mutilated. All of her ribs and her right arm and leg were broken. Dr. Dumas thought the murderer was a man because no woman would have been strong enough to cause such injuries. The head was almost separate from the body. The throat had been cut with a very sharp instrument, probably a razor. All of the men who had entered the house agreed that the door of the room where Camille's body was found had been locked from the inside. None of the men saw anyone in the room when they forced their way in. All the windows were closed and locked from the inside.